Hey guys, what is going on? It is C.A.P Gaming here. Today I'm giving you guys my review on Minecraft Dungeons. Now the way I'm going to do this video is I'm going to start with some of the pros, and then I'm going to go to the cons. Now while I'm not making a pros and cons list, because that would be really hard to do because I'm comparing it to the original Minecraft, I also want to do in this video a little bit of a rating system to where I would rate everything that I talk about, and then also at the end I want to give you guys my overall rating of the game and whether or not I think it is worth your time to buy. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually the design of the game. Now the design of the game I think is very well done. The texture pack is really good, and it also reminds me a lot of some of the older videos, like parody videos like Cube World. It really reminds me a lot of that, and I know that's showing my age a little bit because I think Cube World came out in about 10 years ago as one of those parody songs, but it really looks clean and nice. As you can see in the video right now, you've got the crystals and everything like that, and it all looks smooth. Nothing looks overdone, nothing looks underused, and all of the elements seem to fit the game. The one thing I do say about the level design is it feels kind of forced sometimes. But I mean, that's kind of how they have to do it in order to keep you in a specific playing area. Like, as you guys can tell, like the fencing around me right now. And then also there's times where it's like bricks, or it's like blocks that are 2 or 3 blocks tall that you can't walk up. And it feels a little forced to keep you in the same area, which I understand, but it's also a little bit annoying at times. But overall, I think the design of this game is very well done, at least from what I've played. I haven't beaten the game yet, and I'm trying to take my time in beating it because, I mean, it is a fun game for $20, even though it is a little repetitive after a while. But the level design is phenomenal, and I love it. I would on design at probably a 9 out of 10, which says a lot about everything. And with that being said, I'm going to move on to my next point. My second point in this game is I really enjoy the weapon selection, and when I originally heard this game was being released as an RPG, I was thinking we were only going to get like swords, axes, things like that, but we've actually got quite a few new weapons like spears. Like the one I'm using right now I believe is a spear. I think it's a poison spear, and it's a lot better than what I was expecting with weapons, because like I said, I was only expecting specific weapons, and especially with the bows, and then you also have all of the different potion things. I don't know what to call them, enchantments, things like that. But like there's those special things where you've got healing stuff that you have to use souls for, and then there's also like you have a pickaxe as a weapon, you've got a sword, axe, spear. And I'm trying not to have any spoilers here, but I'm just kind of giving you guys a rough overview of it because I know if you are watching this video, you most likely are thinking about buying Minecraft Dungeons, but aren't sure. I'm not ruining anything for the story. It is a really fun game, especially with the weapon selection, since the weapon selection is so diverse, and there's also like enchantments you can put on your weapons that also make them stand out a lot more than anything else. For the weapon selection, I honestly would rate the game at 9 out of 10 because there is a few more things I feel like they could have done, because a lot of them are just copy and paste with like, so pretty much if you have, I haven't gotten this weapon yet, but say there's a sword and it's got poison on it, it'll just have like a green tint to it and it'll be considered poison. That's the only thing the only reason why I wouldn't rate it a 10 out of 10. But anyways guys, let's move on to my third point for the pros. For my next pro, I actually want to talk about the enemies. Now, again, same thing with the weapons. The enemies I was expecting to be very bland in general. So, husks, zombies, creepers, skeletons, things like that. Just basic ones, and then as you go, they get harder and harder. But actually, they did a really good job at bringing in different and new things. So, like, all the different mobs. I'm not going to say what they are because, again, I don't want to spoil the game for you. But they've all got different aspects to them that they don't have in normal Minecraft. So I think they did a really good job at making it to where the player has many different obstacles to go through. And they've got like infantry type things like the skeletons and zombies, and then some of the bigger things, which I won't go into much detail on, since you guys might still want to play the game. I also do like the droppables, so like there's TNT, bread, things like that, and they did a really good job at including them all and making them all useful. And I think the mobs in this game are very diverse. They can get repetitive after a while, but for the most part, they're pretty diverse. So yeah, that's my thing with the mobs. I've got one more pro. It's not a very big one, but for the mobs, I would probably rate them a 10 out of 10 just because they are so diverse and there's so many new ones that we haven't seen, and I'm hoping they get added into normal Minecraft. My last pro was actually the healing system. Now, normally I'm a person that complains about healing system in games because of the way they're either too slow or they're too fast, and it just seems to make the game unbalanced. But this game actually does a pretty good job because while you don't take a ton of damage, at least playing on the difficulty I'm playing on, you still have to be able to watch your health at all times and make sure that you've got enough either bread, apples, or you give it unlimited healing potion. It just takes time to regenerate, which I really enjoy. So yeah, that's all I'm saying about the healing stuff. Honestly, with healing, I'd probably rate it an 8 or 9 out of 10 because it's still not the best. And sometimes it feels like some of the regeneration enchantments don't work too well. But yeah, anyways, guys, let's move on to the cons. So guys, for my first con, I actually have that this game is pretty repetitive. And it is. It's pretty much just a button masher unless you really know what you're doing. And I mean, it's hard to say whether or not it's repetitive when you just have to do the same thing. But there's also other things that you can do, like you can go around and search specific area or secret areas. So the repetitive side of it is the fighting, because where I just feel like when you're fighting, you're either smashing A or you're pressing your right trigger. Now, I play on Xbox, so it might be different for any other console or anything like that. But I'm just saying, for me, it felt really repetitive because I was just having to smash the A button, and I didn't have much. There's not much to do outside of just going around and killing things, and the story just doesn't seem like it goes along very well with anything else. So yeah, that's my first con. Just it doesn't seem too replayable. Maybe it will be after the end once I finish the campaign, but as of right now, it doesn't seem too replayable. But now let's move on to my next point. So guys, for my second con, I actually have the story of it. Now, there is a little bit of a story going on. There's a lady that's telling you the story, but it's kind of hard to follow because you don't really hear about it at all. And like I said, the repetitive gameplay takes away from the story. I also forgot to say what the repetitive gameplay. I probably ranked the actual gameplay about a 5. And with the story, it's just so hard to follow because of this repetitive gameplay. And I don't really enjoy the whole I don't know what to call it. I don't really enjoy the whole, like, there's no story as you go along. What I was expecting was something like story mode, to where you would go up to characters and you'd do stuff like that, like a normal RPG. And while, yes, some RPGs have run like this, there's also a place where you can go and, like, accept side quests, things like that. And I think that would be a great idea for this. Now, maybe that's a thing later on in the game, and I just haven't gotten to that point yet. But, I mean, it's something that it just seems like they made the game so linear, and the story just is so the story is just so far from being told properly, in my opinion, that it's hard to really get into the story and really know what's going on, because I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to talk about the actual story, but it's just hard to follow. So yeah, that's my point on that, and then let's move on to my next one. For my next point, I actually want to talk about how the character selection is pretty minimal. While I think that the character selection is okay, I still think that they should have let the character, kind of like what they do in Minecraft, where they actually give they give the player some editing abilities, and maybe that's going to be a thing later. But as of right now, it's so based around, like, it's based around stuff that they've already made. So, I mean, it's not too fun to, like, pick a character, and none of them really interested me. That's just a small thing, but anyways, guys, I don't really enjoy the character selection. They've already got some DLCs, but anyways, let's move on to my last point for the video. So guys, for my last point, I actually want to talk about how I don't really feel as if this is an RPG game. And, I mean, while it's set up like an RPG game, and it does decently well at being set up like an RPG game, it fails in the fact that when I think of RPG, I think of side quests, I think of more open world things like that. Because that's what I was expecting. I was expecting this open world. Like after I was expecting like you'd be able to go through, beat the world, and then be able to go back in like a free roam, and like you'd be able to trade with villagers, things like that. Because the emeralds don't really mean anything to me right now. While they do help, they don't really make it all that interesting, because I feel like they should have made it to where you can trade with villagers, things like that. But yeah, so that's one of my biggest concerns about the game, was just that it doesn't feel like a real RPG. And maybe as the game goes on, I keep saying this, maybe as the game goes on it gets better, but I've only played a certain amount. From what I've played so far, it's not a true RPG, but it is what it is. It's $20. Honestly, if I had to rate it as an RPG, I'd probably give it a 5 or 6 out of 10, just because it's so linear and the story, like I said, isn't really all there. So guys, that is my pros and cons. If I had to give this game a rating, I would actually give it a 7 out of 10 to an 8 out of 10. Now the reason I say that, I know the cons I made it seem like the cons were really bad, but overall this is a fun game. I played it for about 2 hours when it first came out, and it was really fun. I really enjoy all the mobs, like I said, and that's one of the biggest things, is all the enemies are so different. And it's a really good game. I hope that you guys play it and enjoy it. And maybe your opinion's a little different than mine. Maybe you like the style of RPG that it is. But for me, I don't really enjoy the style of RPG that it is. And I mean, I'm not a huge RPG player, so I can't really say much about it. But however, I can say that it just doesn't feel proper to me. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but just as an RPG, I don't think it works as well. I think if they gave you like the ability to build your own base in it, it would make it a lot better, because Minecraft's all about building. And say like you use those emeralds to buy base pieces to your base, like you build up your own kingdom, and then you also have to defend it as the time goes on. I think that would be a good idea. But anyways, guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you have enjoyed. If you enjoy me doing things like this where I review games, let me know. There's a lot of new games that are going to be coming out, and I'll probably end up reviewing them anyways. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not already, please like the video, and if you are not subscribed already and you enjoy my content, go ahead and subscribe. I do a lot of live streams on Minecraft, Roblox, things like that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you in the next one.